Hi, thank you for joining us today. My name is Julie McKean and I head up the media practice for Odgers Berndtson in London. I'm joined today by Sam Phillips. Hello, Sam.
Hello, lovely to be here.
This is part of a series I'm doing with media leaders across the sector, with the backdrop that 2020 has been pretty challenging for everyone. And wouldn't it be nice if we just turned our thoughts to 2021 with a small amount of optimism? So amongst others, I should be asking Sam today what she's optimistic about for 2021 in her sector. But first of all, let me introduce Sam properly. Sam has recently founded her own diversity and inclusion D&I consultancy called Representnation, having spent 28 years, of which 20 on the board within media and communications industries. Her most recent 15 years were at Omnicom, which is of course a global leader in marketing communications. And she amazingly held 3 roles simultaneously, though the latter was her greatest focus was in leading D&I across 50 odd businesses and C-suites and 9,000 employees. Her parallel roles to keep her busy was CMO of Omnicom Media Group UK and Assistant Dean of Omnicom University, which is Omnicom's global executive education leadership program, which is run in conjunction with the Harvard Business School professors. Way back prior to joining Omnicom, she spent 9 years as marketing director of timing. She was head of marketing at ITV, and she originally started in creative agencies JWT, J. Walter Thompson as it was then, and TBWA. Sam has spoken about leadership, diversity and inclusion, even at 10 Downing Street, at the Council of Europe and the Global Festival of Media, and she's just finished her tenure at the UK government appointed champion for disability. She is a trustee of the coronavirus-focused National Bereavement Partnership, and she sits on the development board of RADA. She's been the recipient of Trailblazer for Change, Women to Watch Europe, and the People of the Year Awards. She's a fellow of the Institute of Practitioners in Advertising for her services to diversity across the communications landscape. Sam is widowed with 3 children, Max, who has Down syndrome, Ted, who has ADHD, and Tallulah, who's adopted from Russia. I couldn't be more happy that Sam can answer me such an optimistic question today. Sam, over to you. What are you optimistic about for 2021 in your industry?
Well, no problem with me answering an optimistic question. Anyone who knows me will know that I'm the world's most ridiculously positive person through everything. So I guess my first thing to think about when I'm answering this question, Jules, is which industry, because I could answer it from the point of view of media and comms and entertainment, but actually I would rather answer it from the perspective of the nascent industry that is D&I, diversity and inclusion. And I do think it's a nascent industry. If I think back most of my career, and as you've just pointed out, I'm quite old now, most of my career has been spent working in businesses which actually didn't have an HR department. You know, when I first started 15 years ago, my most recent employment, there was no HR department, and that's now unthinkable. And I genuinely believe that what will happen over time is that diversity and inclusion will be established as an actual department, as an actual discipline, and it'll be unthinkable in 5 years' time, for example, for us to be sitting here and going, well, you know, do you remember the days when D&I was being subsumed or whatever else? So I am really hopeful in 2021 that will start to happen, and that also that it recognise I'm starting to see some signs at the moment that companies are putting D&I people into HR, and that's where it can sit. And I would really hope that that's not going to continue, because then you're only looking at one little bit of the funnel of the issues that need to be looked at, which is the workforce, which is hugely important, whether it's existing employees or prospective. But you're not then looking at the whole commercial piece of it. And there is evidence galore out there now, which is that good D&I drives far greater commercial success. So your D&I lead, I believe, should be looking at this through the perspective of your marketing outputs, for example, your product, all a range of other things as well. So I believe it's a commercial function as well. And I hope that the businesses evolve in that line. I am hoping that businesses, and I really do think this will make a difference, will get D&I in at the C-suite level.
Yeah.
Push down the chain, because no company needs to sign any more pieces of paper that says, oh no, we really believe in this, and then not action and follow through. I am positive for 2021 that businesses will have to do, not just talk about D&I. So many years of the needles not actually moving. If we look at the IPA, for example, their reports which they run, for example, ethnicity, multicultural numbers in our industry have not moved up, really. Not really, they have not moved up. Yeah. It's crazy. No longer can this be allowed to happen. And I think leaders now, especially the ones that have signed away the Adland Commits Charter and things like that, will have to show genuine movement at all levels, which also, I believe, means that leaders, the best leaders, are going to have to actually really focus on what I believe is the more important bit of the D and the I, the inclusion piece.
Yeah.
What are you doing to actually drive inclusion and to make your people, all of your people, not just the people that look and sound like you, that you feel the most comfortable around? What are you doing to actually make everyone feel included? And that is going to be a real focus, I hope and believe, of the next year. And that is not easy, always, really not. I'm also positive that businesses will start, I hope, to look more broadly at D&I, not just through the lenses of the spotlight or the headlights that they're put in. So, gender, we've been doing for, it's been a focus for several years now, but and thank goodness for the gender conversation, yeah. But the D&I conversation does not start and finish there. And we're sort of, 100 years, depending on which stats you look at, before we get gender parity, let alone all these others. But it can't be that we're now just doing really sort of zoning in on gender and race and ethnicity with the Black Lives Matter, really important movement booming in our ears. There are so many other areas as well to look at. Disability, I give you, for example, 20% of the population has some sort of a disability. And when you start to look at that, you're like, wow, that's 1 in 5. That's actually higher than the numbers in the UK, for example, of people who are non-white by origin. Now, it's not either or, it's all of. We need to look at social mobility, we need to look at parenting, yeah. We need to look at caring, all these different areas. And I'm hopeful that in the next year, businesses and leaders will start to realise and appreciate all of that, and actually also wrap in the broader elements of good business, what it takes to be a good leader and good business. So that's things like environment, CSR, all that side of things, which strangely, because of such focus on D&I, Black Lives Matter of late, you don't actually hear so much conversation about. I think that's where we're heading to, that ultimately it'll come out a good business. What sort of business are you? What do you want to be for your people? What do you want to be for your customers, for your clients, etc.? So I think, I'm hopeful that all those conversations will stay live and stay focused on and stay being discussed around the board table.
How interesting, Sam. I think what you very kindly spent some time with us at Odgers Berndtson this week for our Unlimited Festival, which is diversity and inclusion and mental well-being and mental health, and really trying to look at the practical impact of being able to change things on the ground, walking the walk, not just talking about it. And I thought when you talked about social mobility and the challenges around the unconscious bias that we all have, people coming into interviews perhaps without parents helping them with CVs, or kind of, the kind of confidence that comes from a public school background, whatever it might be. It was very interesting because I think, made us all think about talent and what kind of talent we might need on the bus with us, all of us, our clients, ourselves, everyone, to really understand the nuances across the intersectionality of diversity and inclusion, if I can use that word, perhaps it's the wrong word. And so for 2021, what do you think the talent implications are for a board who's really taking this seriously and thinking we need to make some changes? Where would they turn to first?
The first thing I would say is it's not a one and you're done type of thing here. Yeah. It's not okay, we'll get someone in to talk at us for a couple of hours, sit there and nod and go, well, that was very interesting, wasn't it? And then more often than not, carry on really on the path you've always been on, because this is a huge education piece. It's about, there's a lot of learning across all these different areas, and intersectionality was exactly the right word, because nothing is neat. It's not packaged up. We'll have gender here and disability here, or whatever it is, mental health over here. We know that there's crossover. So that learning has to be an ongoing education program of learning, and also an ability for people to actually within that workplace stand up and go, I am unlearning. I did not know that I did not know that. I'd never thought about it through that lens. And making that acceptable and okay and even desirable is huge. And I truly believe that we're going to see a shift in the sorts of businesses that operate like that from an empathetic human point of view, and those that don't, and that will become more and more important for all employees within an organisation, but particularly the younger ages. I mean, sometimes you speak to people and they think these conversations are extraordinary, because for them, D&I isn't a nice to have, it is simply a must have. You know, it is what their sort of base expectations are. So I think, you know, leadership evolving and admiring the heart as much as the head outputs is where we are headed to, and that will differentiate leaders and leadership. And I think that some of the questions that you should ask as executive recruitment businesses, or that businesses who are looking to employ people to their board should ask, should evolve. I mean, you know, what's wrong with asking questions like, you know, tell me about the last 3 people you hired? Yeah. Well, did they all look like you? Were they all exactly the same? Or tell me about the last time that you felt really uncomfortable and like you were the odd one out, just to see how much people actually really get it. Or, you know, tell me about what have you actually done to change, to evolve D&I, yeah? Not just what the business has done, not just, oh yes, we had some training, but what have you done that's made your job harder, yeah? But you want to do it because you know it's the right thing to do. I think those are the leaders that businesses will want to attract and should want to attract. And that doesn't mean, you know, for example, some of the best people I've ever worked with have been extraordinarily brilliant white straight males who have come to D&I through one particular lens, could be gender, could be something else. And actually, when they have really dug into it and started questioning themselves, have opened their eyes and have got, oh my goodness me, I just didn't know, and I can't believe it. And then they unpeel other layers of the onion. And those are some of the best D&I advocates that are out there, and some of the most effective people to help others, you know, drive forwards their D&I knowledge, but to make it more okay and acceptable and desirable. So anyone can make a difference in this.
That's fascinating, Sam. Thank you so much. I think what you've touched on there is a real curiosity. You want people who are at board level who are curious, and bringing people like yourself in to help shake up thinking around this, and education to a certain extent, understanding what the implications in your recruitment process might be that perhaps you know, members of a board may not have thought about before. A huge thank you for taking the time to talk to me today about our one question. I now feel optimistic, cautiously optimistic for next year, and let's hope that, you know, you have the busy kind of year with the boards helping to shake this stuff up, and you know, we hopefully get to the end of 2021 having really moved the needle on it. So thank you very much for spending your time today, Sam.
I genuinely hope so. Thank you very much. And my consultancy is open for business.
Thanks, Sam.